All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Neptune Sunday. It's your boy V Moss. Vogue, what's good?
What I do? Good to see you. Been a while.
Yes, good to see you. Life has been lifing for both of us as normal,
Absolutely.
but always happy to get back on here and talk a little talk about music and stuff. So, anniversary episode we got going on today. Today, June 10th, is the 15th anniversary of N.E.R.D's album release, Seeing Sounds. So, gonna go through that a little quick. The third album from N.E.R.D came out in June 2008. They had ended their contract with Virgin like right in the touring process after Fly or Die. So they had to, Interscope had to release this album and actually spend their own money to record it, which I thought was interesting, which
Oh wow.
it's a unique position to be in, right? When you're Pharrell and Chad, you got all that producer money. So I guess you can afford to pay for your own production and recording of this album, which is cool. Most of the album is written and produced by Pharrell and Chad. Important to note, also, a lot of instrumentation and the rock and roll kind of aspects of the album are additional personnel from the group Spy Mob, which was signed to Star Trek, which we know has a song on Clones and also helped out with some other of the N.E.R.D albums. So shout out to Brent Paschke. We're trying to get him on the show too. He's a guitarist from Spy Mob. Important to talk about the title of the album. So I did not know this until recently, Vogue. Maybe you did. The
Okay. Laid
title
on.
of it is based on this concept of synesthesia. Do you know what that is?
Synesthesia. Yes, I did know that. Yeah. So
Okay.
actually, funny story. When I found out, like when this album came out, and I found out that Pharrell experiences synesthesia, I was so jealous because, like, I'm an artist, I'm a dancer. I was like, damn, he's lucky that you can like see the sounds. So I mean, I love that for him, but I was jealous for me. I was like, how do I get that?
Yeah, so I guess he said that they discovered the concept while they were watching Discovery Channel, which is where the album
Yeah.
title came from. For a quote from around the time the album came out, he said that fans want to rock out and be taken on an emotional roller coaster, and the only way to do that is to give them records that could blast out in their speakers. The European influenced music is layered in texture with many music modalities differing from their past club oriented albums. And Chad called the album a big album of LSD, a sonic drug, which I think makes a lot of sense when you're hearing it's still got a lot of the funky rhythms and music that you've heard from a lot of different parts of their careers, but also a lot of the rock inspired stuff too, which we love and come to expect from N.E.R.D too.
Yeah, for sure.
Pharrell also said, if you really analyze the most inspirations probably deep inside a synesthesiac. So for us, sync sounds is what we relate to the most. We figured we make an album out of it. Energy and emotion was a criteria while recording, but we made the music anticipating the live show. That was the most important thing. The song Spaz is an old school hip hop feeling with some drum and bass. It becomes a big, tall monster. It's almost like this big gorilla looking down at you. If he smacks you, he kills you. His fingers are the size of your body. That's kind of what we're doing. We're facing this big monster of what we know is out there, of what we see, that big monster of energy. So
Yeah.
that's definitely why I think so many people love this album and they love songs like Spaz, because the way you described it's like, I think Fly or Die was really such a really good album, but it didn't have those rock in your face moments that we kind of got a little bit from In Search Of and a little bit from some other stuff that they were doing. But I definitely like the way they mixed it back in on Seeing Sounds.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to spoil the plot, was not a favorite for me upon first listen.
Cool.
I think I was listening to it again today, and I think the thing that stuck out to me is like at this point in their career, like their sound is getting very polished. And I think that maybe at the time that I was listening to it, I was like in college, coming towards the end. I think I just wasn't used to that from them, but it definitely has number one, some of my favorite songs from N.E.R.D in general. And I think that the bridges are insane across this album. And I really appreciate their rock elements when they put them in there. So I was really excited to hear some of that like play in the songs. Those moments like were really perfect for me.
Yes. I think we talk a lot about the bridges in the Neptunes career and the discography, but like when you said that, the bridges on some songs on this album that are not like bridgy songs, right? Like hearing it on the bridge on Antimatter, the bridge on Sooner or Later, like
Yeah.
Great stuff, great music. When we get to the end, like I asked our Twitter followers what their favorites are, so we'll go through and see what they're saying. Some live
Okay.
updates as the tweets come in, which is great. All right, let's just go song by song real quick.
Yeah.
Obviously, the intro is where Pharrell does his little skit and kind of explains the whole concept of how he sees sounds, which I thought was cool. And then
Yeah.
Tops in Action, which I think is featuring the Vines or the Hives, one of those two. Let me look it up so I don't get it wrong. There were a lot of bands like that at the time that were like very similar sounding and had similar names and shit, like the Vines, the
Yeah.
Hives. Interesting.
Is it somebody else entirely?
Hives. What did I say first? I say the Vines. So whatever. The Hives. Shout out to the Hives. Great job. So then we get into Everyone Knows lead single. I mean, this single is said to have been released in May of 2008, but I feel like there was no way I didn't have this song in like March, April.
Come on, LimeWire.
That's just the way it is, man. But the energy of that song is amazing. Obviously, it's talking about girls waiting in line to go to the bathroom to do whatever it is that they do in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like when the song came out, I couldn't really relate to it because I don't live that life. Thank God. But it's a really fun song. You can't I'm never going to turn it when it comes on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a good song. I like the energy. It's like I always like when Pharrell and N.E.R.D bring their little kind of ska inspired bops to it.
Yeah.
Like mixture of horns and guitars, and which is cool. Next song, Windows. Windows was a good song. There's really nothing great about it, but it was a good song.
What I'll say is it's not one of my favorites, but I think it reminds me of the Beatles, the Monkees. I thought that was a really, it's they're playing with rock, but they usually don't come at it from that angle. So I thought it was cool that they incorporated that in the writing of the song.
Yeah, that the Windows definitely does give you that kind of 60s. What was that movie they made that was it wasn't a movie about the monkeys, but it was a movie it's about some 60s boy band. If I can't, it's got Tom Hanks in it, so I gotta look this shit up too.
First thing I thought it was Austin
Powers. That thing you do. You know, you never seen
that thing you do. That's a good movie. That's a good movie.
But that's kind of the type of vibe that you get from that song. Look at us. Look at us.
Come on, references.
Oh my god. All right. So the next two songs I think are highlights of the album for me in terms of the energy Pharrell was talking about that he wanted this album to have. Having, him saying that and then intentionally them putting Antimatter and Spaz back to back. The sequencing is amazing. Amazing in that. I think so. I remember a couple things. I remember first of all, let's get the elephant out of the room. Obviously the word has negative connotation to it for what it means. So Pharrell actually, talked about that during the press run for the album. For those of you who don't know, obviously we think of spaz as meaning going hard, jumping, going crazy in the mosh pit. And that's the energy of this song. But then also spaz is a derogatory term in England for someone that has cerebral palsy. And as we also know, the queen herself had to remember this and had to take spaz out of, what song was that she had to take that out of? I don't know.
Was it Heated?
It was either Heated or America. I don't know. I don't remember. But we know.
Pretty sure it was Heated.
Okay. So then just back to my overall memories of this time, right? Since 2008 is the second semester of my senior year at Hampton, about to graduate. And so I remember seeing a video on YouTube of them performing Spaz somewhere and it surfaced. And my mind was blown. I was like, yo, I gotta have this song. I was playing it everywhere and everyone's tired of hearing me playing it. But I was so hyped to see that video, know that new music was coming. Yeah. But then in 2008 in March, N.E.R.D did a performance. They went on a tour before they went on the Glow in the Dark tour, which I'll get to that in a second. But they did a show in Richmond at this place called the National, which was amazing. But they came out to Antimatter, which is if you're a N.E.R.D fan and you don't really know those new songs yet, and they dropped that to come out on stage, the energy of them coming out to Antimatter was crazy. And I had heard, like I said, I had heard Spaz in this video. I think that video must have been from South by Southwest or Austin City Limits or something like that. But they did Spaz in the middle of the show, and that was a moment. And then ended the show with doing Everyone Knows. That's how I know that it was out before, because they were doing it and people knew it. This was March. Yeah, it wasn't officially released till May. So they brought a bunch of people on stage to do Everyone Knows, which was great. So that time of hearing them tour right before this album release, and that moment of that time in my life was really dope. It's one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite albums for sure.
Yeah, I love these two songs. I think this is kind of where it all kicks in for me, where I was like, okay, we're back. this is the N.E.R.D I love.
Yeah, for sure. So the next song is Yeah You, which is apparently about a stalker that Pharrell has from Japan. I didn't do a lot of research because I like to try to keep us from getting into drama. Like I don't want to be messy. You know, podcast world gets to be messy and people are gossiping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I try to keep out of that in this show, but so I didn't do a ton of research to try to figure out if there was any knowledge of who that person was. Cause like if you listen to the lyrics of the song, he's alluding to the fact that it's a person that's in the space, right? Like that's in
Right.
the community
Has
that
contacts
people
that overlap.
know. Yes. So people know this person. So I didn't do too much digging, couldn't find out who it was. So I'm glad I didn't. But ultimately, it's a really interesting song. But I think subject matter aside, I think it's a dope song. I love the fact that it's one of our favorite chat on the saxophone features. Him at the end saying the saxophone makes my head hurt is always funny to hear. But I thought Yeah You was definitely a good bridge between two crazy ass in your face songs and then
Yeah.
bringing it back down.
Yeah. It's actually like a surprise favorite for me. Like, I don't know that I like the moments when Pharrell's like doing storytelling. That's why I like Provider so much. Like, I think at the time I didn't know that this was like a true story. I thought it was just like a made up thing, but it's just like it's a different kind of song. You don't hear a whole lot of songs about stalkers, which neither here nor there, but I think it's really fun.
It was always so interesting, just like this is someone that because it's kind of messy, but I also feel like well you get to be that messy when you're famous and you're Pharrell and you're the person being stalked, right? Like if you felt like
Yeah.
you could put
Yeah.
it in a song, but not actually out the person and say who their name is. I thought it was a cool concept.
The other thing I really like about the song is one, the line where he's like, basically, my nice guy image would go up in flames if I responded to you in the way that I want to. So,
Right.
like, showing that he's like aware of himself, but also I feel like it has, funny enough, it has like a Marvin Gaye influence to it without, any of the legalities. So
Mm.
I like hearing the references in their music because I feel like they're really educated in like good music, classic music, and I feel like that came through in this song.
Right. Okay. Next song is Sooner or Later, which ended up being the third single, which I think is another one of the highlights of the album. 4 Count P to start it, which is dope. A crazy bridge, which we talked about. But the outro on Sooner or Later is amazing. Just like
Oh,
just letting the guys from Spy Mob, I'm assuming that's who primarily who's on there,
yeah.
just rocking out at the end for over a minute or two, like is just was just great music. So I appreciate them being able to have that time to shine for sure.
Yeah, there's so much emotion in Pharrell's voice. I've literally cried to the song. It came on when I was going to Soul Cycle, and I'm on the bike and we're doing like one of those climbs, and I just start crying because I like the beauty of the music really hit me. So fair to say, this is probably, if not my favorite N.E.R.D song, one of like the top three.
Yeah. So Rob Dyrdek, MTV. Everyone always jokes that we think that Rob Dyrdek owns MTV because Ridiculousness is on there all the time. But
Oh, I do believe that.
Rob Dyrdek is in the video at the time is when he was famous for Robbing Big, RIP Big.
Yeah.
He actually got connected with the Neptunes. He had his own like skate team that had a movie, and the Neptunes produced a song for it called Hopping Over Fences, which was like their official like crew anthem. So that was dope. But the other important part about the video is just the fact that it was kind of shot in this Wall Street type of setting, which was a very, very important timestamp of how crazy the economic times were in 2008. All us 2008 grads know all about that and how we didn't have no jobs and we was broke and went back to our mom's house after we graduated. But I thought that was a really good perspective because we've talked about this before and we'll talk about it again in this discussion, just how, especially in the N.E.R.D situation, in N.E.R.D music, Pharrell and Chad have used that more so as their vehicle to kind of speak on cultural, societal issues and stuff that's going on.
Yep, absolutely.
Speaking of that, Vogue, speaking of that, completely random. And it just that conversation mixed with you talking about Marvin Gaye just put something in my brain that I thought about the other day. Okay, you ready? I'm about to everyone's mind. So everyone knows, as you alluded to, all this the crazy drama with Marvin Gaye's estate and Pharrell and Robin Thicke over blurred lines and the sounds and the interpolation or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Most people either didn't hear it or don't remember it. But around the time after 9/11, there was this benefit album that a lot of superstars got together and created. And Pharrell and Chad made their own version of What's Going On.
Really?
Let me pull it up right now.
Please do. I haven't even heard about this album.
So the song, like,
My
bro, so hold on. I'm about to, this is important. This is important because, like, to have the drama be as dramatic as it was for that song,
Yeah.
this is literally called What's Going On. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I got it on Apple Music. Let me Wikipedia. That's what I should do. Okay. So apparently it was just like, oh, this is wild. Apparently there's a tribute DVD. What the hell, man? What the hell? Okay. It doesn't even have anything to do. So that's why I'm confused. So it doesn't have anything to do with 9/11 per se. It's for AIDS. It's an AIDS worldwide benefit. There's just a bunch of different versions of What's Going On. So What's Going On, Dupree original remix. What's Going On, Fred Durst reality check.
Wait a minute.
So the Dupree, okay, so the Dupree remix is NSYNC, Aaron Lewis, Alicia Keys, Backstreet Boys, Bono, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. I don't know that person. Destiny's Child, Eve, Fred Durst, Gwen Stefani, Ja Rule, Jennifer Lopez. Okay, What's Going On, the Fred Durst reality. Okay, I think that's the one that people actually know. Like, that was actually a single that people play on the radio, like the one with that Jermaine Dupri did.
Y'all can't see my face. I'm gobsmacked.
Okay, I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but then so there's 6 songs on the project. If I remember correctly, the one that has I have it pulled up. The one that has, like, Jermaine Dupri did. Yes, this one was like on MTV and shit. Like,
and that sounds kind of familiar.
So that, like, it's also so weird to me that it's like it came out after 9/11 times, but it's an AIDS benefit album.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, so that first one with Jermaine Dupri and Diddy and them was the one that people play on the radio. But there is a What's Going On, the Neptunes version. Now, this is it. I'm gonna blow your mind with the lineup of rappers. You ready?
I'm scared. Yes, I'm ready though.
I wanna tell them to you in the order that they rap, so you can be, because just reading the list to you, it doesn't kind of give you the full vibes of what's really happening. Like, this song, especially if you're hearing it for the first time, you start to hear these voices come out, and you're like, "Yo, who?" Okay, here we go. Pharrell is the first voice you hear singing. Okay, first verse. Ready? LL Cool J. Second verse.
Okay.
Noriega.
What?
Third verse. Royce the 5'9".
What?
Little Pharrell, little kind of on the hook, turns into a verse break by Faith Evans.
Okay.
Next verse, another kind of break by Queen Latifah, who's like singing rapping. Okay. After that, we get into another rap verse by Fabulous.
Oh.
One of them had a really outrageous line on here too. Oh, yo, Fabulous is the most ridiculous part, right? What's going on in the USA? Why we all can't live in the FABOLOUS way.
You are kidding me.
That's what he said, man. That's what he said. Okay. Then someone named Sonya Blade raps. I don't really know who that is. And then Pharrell comes back with a little bit of singing. And then the next verse. You ready?
Oh.
The Brat. And then the next verse, not even a full verse, more like 8 bars. Angie Martinez.
What?
And then the final verses are from Prodigy and Havoc of Mobb Deep.
Prodigy and Havoc? Yes. You know what?
This is such an interesting organization of people for this type of song. And all that to say, just to bring it home, I do think that is just a weird, undiscussed or unknown fact about the whole Marvin Gaye relationship, considering that the Neptunes literally made a whole Marvin Gaye song for a tribute.
Yeah.
And here we go. Man, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. To all the listeners that came here to hear about Seeing Sounds. I feel like that was important Neptunes history, though. Like,
that's good. That's good content. I think the people want to hear that.
Okay.
Let's move on though.
Okay, so we talked about that we were finishing up sooner or later, right? So Happy and Killjoy, I think, are dope. They're not like great, but I think they're dope. There's nothing like really outstanding about them. Any thoughts on those two?
Actually, Happy is one of my favorites, but
I always think that it's hilarious that people don't even remember that song called Happy came out before the other song called Happy.
that is funny. That is funny. Do I think it's a far better song? Yes, but we don't have to get into that discussion again.
All right. So then Love Bomb is dope. I think Love Bomb also has kind of some of those societal commentary, like, you know, we need a love bomb like going on in the world right now, which I think is dope. Love Bomb's a good song.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that specifically?
Yeah. One of my favorites. I think I just love that, like you said, Pharrell and Chad use N.E.R.D as a vehicle in this way. And I feel like this song is a really good example of that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So the last two songs, You Know What and Laugh About It, I definitely at the time related to a lot during a certain situationship or two that I thought was kind of that's what those two songs are about. Like funky, the bass line on both of them are funky, definitely funk inspired. Gives you some vibes that you'll later hear from them with the Daft Punk work and the Niles Rodgers work. But yeah, you know, he says, and you know what, friendship means the most to me. So like if that's definitely some peak situationship type of commentary.
We've all been there.
Right. I feel like the songs are literally like probably kind of connected, and it makes sense for them to end the album together as like riding out.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two bonus tracks. One of them we're gonna talk a little bit more about. It's called Everyone Knows the Remix. Obviously, this was a huge deal to have Pharrell, Kanye, Lupe, and Pusha on one song, especially since the summer before in 2007 with Kanye's mixtape Colors. We got our first taste of CRS, Child Rebel Soldier, which we thought was going to be this massive super group that was going to make the best music ever, featuring Kanye, Lupe, and Pharrell. Like that was supposed to be it. Like that was supposed to murder all of our musical brains with the genius that was going to come from that group. And on that mixtape Colors, they had Us Placers, as I mentioned, but then there was this song which had everyone hype. I remember watching the video and being so vogue. Like, you know me, all of you people that know me personally understand that I spent a bunch of graduation parties and summers after this album came out walking around doing the combination of the rock and the Star Trek together. When I saw that in the video, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And it didn't happen. And I'm sad.
You know, when you spelled out the words, then I was like, oh, it all came flooding back to me. So I want to like save my rep here. But I just want to point this out. And this is a really easy thing to point out. Kanye's opening line on his verse had everyone going nuts.
Yeah, yes. This was definitely it could be arguably part of Kanye's spiral, like where we first got to see the recklessness, the other side of it.
Yes,
right?
yes, very much so.
Because this is like a year or two, year and a half away from Amber Rose MTV Awards.
Yowzers.
Yeah. Do you have any black inside you? Oh my gosh, bro.
Wow. And then people said it so much because everyone was just blown away.
Right.
Into the cultural zeitgeist.
I do remember my man Lupe's verse being absolutely insane though. Just high tops, high pods, high score, all of that. Just like Lupe, shout out to Lupe, man. Like he deserves all the flowers. But then, you know, so obviously we wouldn't get another quote unquote CRS song until Good Music Days, Good Fridays with Don't Stop, which came out, Neptune song, featuring verses from Pharrell, Lupe, and Kanye to help hype up the release of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. But again, we still got no album from these guys, so we're upset. We're mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad.
I'm mad for you.
Now, I think we've talked about this before. Maybe it might not have been on the show, but maybe a side conversation. I would love to see a Child Rebel Soldier be revisited, remove Mr. West and his antics, replace him with the one and only Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Sell it for $1 million.
Now that would be amazing.
Chef's kiss.
Hey, what do I know though?
You have a lot of good ideas on this podcast. We got to get to the people at the top.
Hey man. Hey, just shout out to us. We hit 100 listeners on Spotify today. So there's at least 100 people that listen to this. Somebody's got to know somebody. Make the call. Make it happen.
Spread the word.
All right, last thing. So I said there's another bonus track. It's called Laser Gun. I think it might have only been released on the Japanese version, but I love Laser Gun. The beat is crazy. It's one of Pharrell's underrated rap performances too, which we'll get into later this season for sure. But I think that's a dope song. So overall, great album. You gotta rank it. Go ahead. How does it fit in your top your nerd albums ranking?
I don't know if you're gonna love this.
Uh-oh.
4 out of 5, friend.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so sorry, everybody.
Mm,
It's not that
mm.
I don't like the album. I just listened to it. I probably want to listen again, but like it just didn't hit where I needed it to hit at the time. And there are tracks on here that I'm like, I can skip past this.
Mm.
I'm an album listener and I prefer to listen to albums in entirety, but just just not my favorite. Do you want me to give you my full ranking, like the list?
Oh no, that's fine. No, that's fine. Just keep that to yourself. This just I think just
Okay.
the fact that you have it at 4 is good. That's cool. I mean the album received mixed reviews when it came out, but like I'll never let a critic tell me that something I love isn't good, right? Like I think it's one of the best. I'd say depending on when you ask me, my nerd album ranking changes weekly. So this is
Yeah.
probably like 2 or 3.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I've talked to people who say it's their favorite album. It doesn't surprise me at all. People love this album. A really good friend of mine, I know this is like his album. He like listened to it a lot.
Let's see what the tweets are saying. So, happy 15th. Okay. 23 quote tweets. Let's see what we got.
Wow. See,
So,
lots of feelings.
so for everyone who is listening, we tweeted today, happy 15th to Seeing Sounds. What's your favorite song? Where does it rank in the Nerd Army albums? So we have someone that says all the girls standing in the line for the bathroom. So I guess that means that their favorite song is Everyone Knows. Gotta vote for Sooner or Later. Whole album is perfectly executed, but my favorite songs, You Know What and Laugh About It. Situation shit music there.
Okay.
Somebody said this is a goated album. Another person, this album is bananas. Starting in all caps with that intro. Okay. Okay. You Know What is such a vibe, but I'll never forget feeling the bass line for Antimatter move through me at Glow in the Dark. Number 2 behind Fly or Die. Damn, Glow in the Dark. Man, that's I gotta talk about that too.
Okay.
So Glow in the Dark came to Virginia Beach, the closest tour stop to me at the time, on May 11th, 2008. Now, for those of you who also know me, know that May 11th, 2008 is the day that I graduated from Hampton University. So the idea of me going to Glow in the Dark the same day was just like it just was not possible, man. Like I could have made it happen, but I wish I had. But instead, we went back to my mom's house, all my friends and from Hampton, or a couple friends from Hampton, mostly friends from Richmond, and just had a crazy party at Cheyenne's house. So the album was the night was not a failure, but I still wish I could have seen that tour. Obviously, we know how great it was just from the Kanye standpoint, but Kanye, Lupe, N.E.R.D, Rihanna, like that lineup, you say that lineup out loud right now, and you're like, that was a whole tour, bro. Like that's crazy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I actually thought you were gonna say like you were sprinting to the place with like your robes on. That's what I thought where I thought that was going.
It's a different time, like I feel like in the like we live so much more in the digital mobile age now that maybe I would have just been like, shoot, let me see how much tickets are and just go. But I feel like the process to buy tickets was not as seamless back then, where it's just like, man, if I don't have them, I don't have them. I'm not trying to like scramble for that. Like I'm just good. I'm good.
You're right about that. Well, can't win them all.
Yeah. Okay. Check out some other tweets. Someone says, oh, the guitar solo on Sooner or Later. Dope. Yep. We talked about that. Someone said this album was built for the car. 100% agree with that. Someone said this is the best album. Okay.
Hey. That's how you feel.
Yo, shout out to the homie DJ Just Trill. He always interacts with a lot of our stuff. He just said, I'm not going to follow instructions, but this album did a lot for me personally. The bridges on this album was constantly brain emoji, melting emoji, 3 flame emojis. So there
I love the emojis.
Oh man. Someone else said this is N.E.R.D's best album. Interesting. Happy is the best song, but no skips on the album. Interesting.
Huh?
Interesting.
That is it.
Okay. Last tweet. Favorite song from the quote. He has in parentheses nostalgia, spaz. Current favorite song, Sooner or Later. Rank. This is number 1, the most potent version of what we think a N.E.R.D album should sound like. Perfect blend of 2001, 2, and 2004, and a precursor to the good songs from 2010. I'll take it.
All right.
Shout out to the homie Deshaun. I might die. EYE might die on Twitter. But yeah, shout out to everyone who follows us on Twitter too. Like y'all just be like watching me have the conversations with myself between the Neptunes account and my personal account. But I appreciate y'all. Anyone who hops in to join the conversation, man, I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, shout out to Seeing Sounds 15th anniversary. Oh, your boy.
You know what? Just for y'all, I'm gonna run it again today.
Is this Baruch? What's Baruch's
Yeah, that's the friend I was mentioning.
BTA 77?
Yeah.
He said, I remember playing this album out that summer while I was at a summer internship. Fave tracks are Love Bomb, Laugh About It, Sooner or Later.
Yeah, that's exactly the friend I was talking about. So shout out to Baruch. Thanks for being a listener.
Homie Patrick Pryor, Love Bomb, Laugh About It, You Know What? That's our homie, former guest. Shout out to Pat Pryor. I want to shout out this dude, Reggie Volume on Twitter. We've interacted a lot in the past couple of days. He says, this is my favorite N.E.R.D album. Sooner or Later, the outro / bridge took me to God. Love Bomb.
Yes.
He said Love Bomb and then Laser Gun, Carrion, and You Know What? Too many, to be honest. Me and Reggie actually had a really cool interaction a couple days ago talking about it's so funny. So here we go. And this is I'm gonna end on this because we gotta go. But I'm gonna end on this because it shows how much we're connected through the music and how dope this is that we're all in this community that we're building and in this community that we're joining and having people connected, right? So Corey Towns, who you just saw this week, tweeted about the event that you guys were at. Talk about the event first. Talk about the event.
So, the event was so good. You know, the way these sessions are set up, it's called A to B in DC. And basically they pick an album, someone comes in and kind of like has a conversation with one of the facilitators of the event, but also it's an open discussion. So naturally, I was the first one to speak. I said, you're going to regret giving me this mic. But we had really, really good conversation about like what the songs personally meant to everybody, the backstory to why Corey is a DJ and his love for the Neptunes. And there was a really, really great after party where we heard like exclusively Neptunes music and just one of the best things I've ever been to. So shout out to Corey. Yeah.
Shout out to you for representing us there. Appreciate that. That was dope. Glad it was a cool event. So that brings back to the second part of the story. So Corey tweeted, folks told me at the In Search Of forum last night that if I like N.E.R.D, I should listen to Steely Dan. Someone sent me a playlist to check it out back to NYC. Babylon Sisters is insane. So I quote tweeted it from the Neptunes account. I said, yup, it's not a N.E.R.D song, but you can definitely hear Steely Dan vibes on this Mayer Hawthorne joint that Pharrell produced called Reach Out. And I showed him, I sent the pictures, screenshots of Peg, my favorite Steely Dan song of all time. And then the song Reach Out Richard that I was talking about by Mayer Hawthorne, which we talked about on this show back on episode whatever for P's birthday.
Yeah.
And it comes back to Reggie Volume responding and being like, yo, every single joint P did on that album pulled from Steely. That Mayer Hawthorne album is one of my favorites. So we kept talking back and forth, and he said something about, he said Wine Glass Women is such a high quality summer jam. And I agree that we talked about The Stars of Ours could have been a N.E.R.D song. He said Reach Out Richard is good too. You know, Reach Out Richard is a song about Mayer Hawthorne's dad. He said, I sent it to my pops because he's a huge man of Steely Dan. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. It just shows you how connected we are through the music. My godfather, who I've also talked about on the show, my godfather, who is DJ RNS, his dad. DJ RNS is part of the friend group that has been on the show for 2 episodes. Uncle Pooh put us on the Steely Dan when we were kids, listening to Peg when we were 8 years old. So the whole thing was just kind of a crazy just picture of like what's going on, the energy that we're getting and giving and receiving in this process. I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for you. Thankful for everybody, man. It's just good vibes. We just need the love. Everyone just needs the love.
Immaculate. Yeah, I'm feeling good too. Shout out to you, Vaughn.
Okay. Well, that was a good convo.
Let me go listen to some Steely Dan.
Hey, man. Go blast Peg. Everybody should go blast Peg. Like Peg, the vibes on Peg are just like, I think the whole, I guess it's called Asia. That whole album is really good too. But yeah. So this was one of those episodes where we just hop on and we have no idea where it's going, and it went a lot of places. So
yeah, it's a little adventure we had.
Yeah, that's
I hope you guys enjoy it.
It's the beauty of this whole thing. All right, Vogue, good to see you, homie.
Same.
Everyone else, appreciate y'all listening. There's a lot going on in the world of Vogue and Vaughn personally. So, just be patient with us that we're not releasing episodes every week because, like we got shit to do. But at the same time, we do have some cool stuff planned for the rest of the year. So appreciate all you guys' support, whether it's listening, subscribing on the podcast channels, but also liking and interacting with the Instagram and Twitter. We will catch you next Neptune Sunday. Peace and love.
Bye, guys.